truth. You can't handle the truth.
So the Certruth.
All right. So this is episode 2 of the Certruth podcast. Should speak into it?
Check. Check. Is it showing you on the thing?
Yeah, that should be good right there.
Episode 2, huh?
Episode 2. So the first episode, or we probably should start with an introduction. I'm
Yes.
here with my coach Marty O'Brien.
Yep, I'm here, ready to go, and door in 6. Let's start a new chapter, Max.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, we already have a little studio here.
Studio set up.
Great.
Yeah.
It should be awesome. Last episode, of course, we had Nick Yanchuk and SJ Finucane. We kind of had a more athletic approach to that, but this is going to be a little bit different today because we're going to kind of talk about the future of how we're going to start doing this. So
everything, right?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
excited.
So the transition, talk about the transition a little bit. So Joe had his show last year, and now you're taking over? You're sort of the media arm of FIAN, or what's the deal?
Yeah, I mean, media arm is a pretty good term because it's like, I feel like it's hard to try to categorize what I've been doing because it's been like, doing the podcast is one thing, but it's not always like sports media because I've also been, we're doing this and doing the interviews like after the games and stuff, and then this, and just trying to like grow like a whole brand, really, not just try to diversify. But yeah, it's been fun, and looking at what Joe did last year, it's like he really helped get my foot in the door, and now like who knows what's going to happen.
I had you on a transition podcast, which was pretty cool, as he goes off to Michigan State. Maybe we'll have him for one of the episodes.
Oh, yeah, he was talking about that with me, because Joe always keeps in touch. So hopefully in the future, maybe we could do like
That's cool.
Yeah.
So talk about the brand a little bit. So Certruth is sort of, now is that going to be your persona moving forward, or what's the deal?
I mean, it kind of just, I think it fit pretty good so far. Even when, you can even break down like the whole logo. A lot of people ask me like, well, that's that in the middle. Yeah. And I didn't know people would ask that so much, but it was supposed to be like a radio tower. Some people thought some people thought it was the, But
that's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
But it kind of plays both, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people think that, but the whole brand itself, Joe helped me come up with the idea because we were trying to think of like what we would call it, because I can't call it, the Joe Diz Hour anymore. So
the Max Certruth's half minute.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking about that, but we just needed something that like came off the tongue. So
nice.
Certruth was my last name, so then we just used Certruth. But I think it works pretty well.
That's pretty cool.
The logo, I think like you were saying, like the brand, I think it's gonna stay right now because I've already been making T-shirts and selling them, and
cool. I'm gonna get one.
It's gonna that'll be awesome.
Soon, or what?
Hopefully, definitely in the works. So many people have been like, oh, what about hoodies? And it's definitely like it's in the works, but that's something again with like advertising. It's like I gotta like get the shirts out there, and but
in the right room. Dorn 6. We talk a lot of marketing communications. I will be promoting my classes during this.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we'll bring in some guests, some high scorers in the classes.
Little free plug,
That's good.
No, yeah, definitely.
So what is the future of the show then? Like, what do you think? You mentioned it earlier a little bit. So is it covering games? Is it being live at games? Is it so this week? Perfect, right? Radio Row at Super Bowl. Maybe we'll do some Super Bowl picks.
Oh yeah.
But like, what's the deal with the Certruth? What do you think?
So kind of like you were saying, like talking about games. Right now, the only thing that I have kind of on the channel, it's like I've been doing back and forth, just like podcasts and like sports stuff, the interviews, and I love doing sports media. And I don't want to really go away from sports, but something that I was thinking about, which I thought would be pretty cool, is I wanted to start, because, I did this with Joe last year. We practiced this so much was when I was in the booth with him announcing the games.
Right.
With Joe, I used to do like play-by-play, so I'd be, that's Betsy Norco and Christy Norco going down the field, passing to each other.
Yep.
But this year, because at the beginning of the fall season when I did announce, it was kind of like I didn't have the equipment set up yet. I didn't know what to do, so I really only time I would announce in the booth was when they scored, I'd flick on the mic and I'd go, that was Kylie Gorman with, and I'd turn it off. Hopefully in the spring, I'm hoping to start doing play-by-play and like color by color, so I can establish like that I can start putting out like platforms of like full on like games at FIAN, and then hopefully like record those and get into like having people, because actually it kind of brings me back. there was a parent that asked me, they were like, well, why, I want to see, like, if I'm, like, out of town, can I see, like, my kid's game, like, set up or something? And I thought, well, that would be great to, like, post and then have my commentary, like, next to it. So, yeah.
I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, it's, like we were talking earlier, and I made this reference to Joe. Like, when I was in college, I wrote for the school paper doing sports media, and I always wished, I had a friend that I did it with, he was an editor for the paper, and I always wished that, like, we could have built up more media in the college, right? So, like, more play-by-play and color, and then also interviews. We weren't able to do that. This was like kind of, social media was just coming to be, and now the opportunities to do things like you and I had spoken about, integration with social media and then newspaper, and then more, out at the sports coordination of different events. Like, could this be the entire media world of FIAN? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of, like, the whole media world at FIAN, because it's a fairly new concept. You know, Joe kind of just started it. So it's like what we're doing now, it's kind of like we're pioneering like a whole new way.
This is sort of the headquarters, the start, and then what could happen outside of here, what we will see.
Right, that's another thing. It's like expanding the brand beyond the school and kind of just bringing in more, like, attraction to it, but still having it rooted in the school, because it's kind of like, I almost think of it as like a documentary. It's kind of like, well, it all started here, right?
Yeah.
But no, I think that's a great, like, there's so much opportunity, and there's so much, like, new ideas that I could have, like, new media, and because there's so many forms of media. So we're just kind of like rooted in sports media right now, but hopefully we can branch out into something soon.
And now, do you think students will be interested not only in this, like watching this and seeing your brand develop around campus, or do you think they'd be interested in getting involved with the show? What do you think?
That's a great, I mean, a lot of people have, like, the people who are, like, obviously watching right now and, like, they're following the Instagram page and everything, I'm so appreciative of those people, because it's like those people who make this anything, it's because they're interested in pretty much just watching the brand grow. And there's always, like, two sides. Like, if I post an interview, there's some people who are like, oh, I know that kid, so then now I'll follow this kid because he's giving my friend a spotlight. And there's other people who are like, oh, he did this one time, but I'm going to keep watching all of his other stuff because now I like the brand too, and I like watching his brand, but it all started because he brought in my friend. And then with kind of what you said about, like, bringing people in, that's something that I'm trying to constantly work on, because, like, there's only so much, like, tech stuff that, like, I can accomplish. And, like, I mean, you look at what we're doing right now, and, like, you already offered, like, such great help, Coach Marty, because, like, I'm sure Joe couldn't have done his show last year without you. So still, like, kind of, I think every day it's, like, becoming more and more of, like, a community. Like, even my friend, I have Patrick Martin, like, even before, like, the first episode, he helped me, like, create, like, a whole list of talking points and everything, because it's like you gotta have, like, one person's ideas and thoughts, but when you integrate, like, new people, then it gives you, like, more ideas and, like, more organization.
As this expands, I could see more people jumping on board. And like you said, I mean, what I find valuable in this for you guys, and I foresee it being more valuable, is for those of you who want to get potential, at least try it out and get into communications. We're seeing Joe do it. There are so many different roles you can play. We could market this, we could produce, we have to produce this, we have to edit this, we have to shoot this. So it's one of those things that there's so many different angles to continue to learn. And this, to me, this is the best kind of learning, right? You're learning on the fly, you're learning on the go, and you're seeing it be created for the real world. So
Definitely, like, it creates so much. Well, first of all, it does help a lot for the real world, because, like, this is stuff that you see. I mean, media and, like, technology is only growing and growing, so it's like stuff like this. It's kind of cool to, I think, the whole podcast, the whole brand, like, it could kind of set up, like, different branches to pull people in. Like, right now it's kind of like a one-man show. It's like I've been doing all the editing and stuff, but it would be so awesome to integrate, like, someone recording it and someone editing it and doing the sound, and then it just grows and grows and grows. But it is kind of like a precursor of, like, what you'd see, like, in the real world.
Yeah, that's awesome. So so sports around FIAN, like, what are you thinking? Like, are you covering specific sports, all the sports? Where's interest coming from? Do you see yourself, like, I know you've done this before, maybe you can talk about it a little bit more, but like being around the court after a game and getting an interview with the leading scorer, like, what do you think?
So that is pretty much what I've been trying to do. I think right now, I looked the other day, I think I have 12 interviews already recorded from different, like
That's awesome.
Yeah, I try to branch out in like all the different sports. It started with, the first interview was a pregame interview with John Maniaca for soccer. But
who had a couple dunks?
Oh yeah,
I've heard
right.
yesterday, maybe.
Yeah,
big win over North.
Big win over North, 68-48, and who also had a great game that game was Cooper Sneed. But it just goes to kind of like that. Even that game, I interviewed Cooper and Dylan Capua after the game, and it's like I've done basketball. I've still been meaning to get girls basketball interviews, but I've gotten basketball interview twice, once with the captains, and then last night I got it with Cooper and Dylan. I got girls soccer, boys soccer, field hockey, football, of course, because that football season was big, and it was so awesome to kind of...
And you were right there, ready to go.
Right. And what was cool about that was, I did the whole episode with Nick and SJ, because I think the most interviews that I did were for football, and it was kind of cool because it's like you kind of saw like an evolution of like, especially because I think I interviewed Nick a lot, so you could kind of see like an evolution of what he would do, and it's kind of like now recorded in my my interviews, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's right in the can, and it's in the archives too.
Yep. And but the sports that I got to announce, which were soccer, field hockey, and in this upcoming spring, hopefully lacrosse. I like doing those too, because now that's not just me doing interviews after, it's me announcing the game and then supplying the athletes with not only like a platform, but like, to say, oh, thanks, or like, what did you think about this game? And then they get to say what they want. But it also gives them, I can show, have like footage of their, like what they did, not just like asking about it, like proof, and like, it's going to be awesome to actually show them what I'm doing.
Yeah. And I think that's what students, realistically, everyone around campus, it's, as you know, it's such a community here. I think that's what people are going to love. Is they're going to like to see the other side of the athletes, hear them talk. I mean, to your point too, I know we're just getting started, but even looking at the Nick and SJ interview, you got to see a little bit of their mindset and how Nick approached his record-breaking season, how SJ was helping along with that and the rest of the team. So to me, it was very, very cool to see that community continue to build and see, really how impressive, not only on the field, but even speaking like this, all of you guys are here at Fian. So I was really proud. So that's cool. Yeah,
you talk about like a sense of community, which is like, what's cool to me is that like, when I was here last year as a freshman, Joe, who was 3 years,
you're only a sophomore getting started.
That's what kind of like I'm leading on to.
Much to do. Yeah.
Right. When I was here as a freshman, Joe was 3 years older than me, but like even the freshman kids knew about Joe Dez.
Yep.
Oh, that's the kid.
Pretty soon, hopefully, I'm waiting for a Certruth.
Oh yeah,
one of these.
Yep,
hopefully coming soon.
People have been asking. Yep, but even then, like even as freshmen, kids were like, "Oh yeah, we know who that is."
Yeah.
And it's cool now to see the community, because when I was a freshman, it would be like everybody above me, seniors and juniors and the sophomores that year, knew Joe Dez. And it's cool now because I'm only a sophomore, but like there's already like freshmen who are like, oh, you're the Certruth kid, right? And then you're seeing this, and it's kind of cool because it's like the early on stages of that community that's like already forming, which is awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So much to do over the next few years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But that's been like the biggest. I can't like.
How do you like the school overall? You think you made a good choice? I know your older brother was here, so I know I had him in class. Hopefully he's staying in school.
Oh yeah. I hope Alec is staying in school. But yeah, I love this school. I really do, because not only have a lot of my friends went here from my middle school, but that's not really what it was about. It was kind of just because I always thought I'd go here. I didn't think much of it at first, but after you get here, it's like I don't think at any other school I would have been able to build something like this or Truth. And I don't think there has ever been I don't think there would have been like a better like football program that I wanted to do, because that's like especially with the football program. Like I don't think I'm thankful for like anything else other than that. It's just like the whole school. It's kind of like built on these like building blocks of just like everybody is integrated with each other in something. Like all the football players, they go and they support all the pause people in the morning, and all the students, there's like this culture on the football games and the basketball games, and the athletes with the students. And I think the integration between like the athletes and the students, I think that's why sports media was a good idea, because sports, not for everybody, but in a general sense, is something that everybody can kind of connect to. So I thought that was
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. And I second your thoughts about, I mean, the Fian Fanatics, right? Our loyalty group for sports is always numbers and numbers at the games. You know, you see them, you know, rows deep at the basketball games, hockey games, football games, lacrosse games, field hockey games, all these games. And that level of support for all the other teams is unmatched, I think, in the community. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to be a part of it and, you know, hopefully get some more games. Maybe we can do some on-site work, you and I, at one of these games when we coordinate it, if my kids ever go to bed.
Yeah, most definitely. It is interesting because I think as sports media, like when you talk about Fian Fanatics, if it's a fairly new kind of thing, like we didn't have that, and of course, obviously last year, I think like one of the biggest events at this school was that went over north last year.
Correct, yeah.
But it kind of just like it is weird because Fian Fanatics is now also building this like these kind of like steps that just keep solidifying our community through. Weirdly enough, through sports as a community, like and especially like online, it's just like everybody is now like because it's online, everybody's becoming more aware of the sports. Then more people go, oh, maybe I'll go to the game, and then they go, and then they're like, oh wow, this is great, and then we just grow more and more as a community. It doesn't even matter the sport, and then once you start getting more interested in it, you start focusing on the specifics. Like, I mean, you look at Nick Yanchuk with like, if I go to a football game, I always watch, the football game, I like football games, but then if you look at the football games, like, oh, this kid's gonna break some like huge record, that's even more interesting, and then it just keeps getting more exciting and exciting.
Yeah, no, and everyone, the community rallies around it. So what do you think too in terms of guests? We mentioned some of the athletes. Do you think we'll have some coaches on? You think we'll have some teachers on? Maybe that way we start to build into the faculty and coaching community.
Yeah, I mean, most definitely trying to get coaches on. That's one thing because, I mean, of course, you're also a coach for football.
Absolutely.
And because we can get into all that too because how, like, you experienced it. And then not only athletes, but, like, coaches. Like, I know Joe did the Super Bowl predictions last year.
Super Bowl picks, and we all with Coach Pinabel. And we also did March Madness with Coach King.
Oh, yeah.
So, and that was live on the court. I think Joe made like a 3-point shot or something at the end. So again, to me, that's fun.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do more of that.
It's super fun, and that's something that like I've been wanting to do, like getting coaches into it and kind of, you know, because an athlete, they're telling it from a first person point of view, but a coach kind of talks like a fly on the wall, like what they've seen from like a lot of people. Yeah. So it's definitely like a cool concept of like getting more and more people on. I'm thinking about like who I would get on. I'm not completely sure yet. I mean, obviously we have you on today, which is awesome, and hopefully we can keep doing that in the future. But getting other coaches on, kind of talking about like, you know, what they think, and because, I mean, it's a big sports school that we're at here, so it's like the people who contribute to that as like leaders is also interesting.
I'd be interested to see kind of some of their backgrounds, how long they've been coaching, what's their approach overall, what's important to them as a coach. That's what I'm always interested in, you know, because I think you not only learn so much as a coach from the other coaches, but also the kids and the students. And I know even, you know, I've only been coaching formally 3 years, and even doing that, I've learned a ton from the process and what it takes, you know, to really communicate. And, you know, to quote Coach Curran, he always says, you know, teaching makes you a better coach, coaching makes you a better teacher. And I certainly agree with that. So I've enjoyed that sort of well-roundedness of the community, like you said, you know, as I've been coaching here. So.
Yeah, especially with like Coach Curran, because he coaches basketball, but he also coaches probably the biggest off-season operation at the school, which is the football program, and being in that like first like knowing what's going on there firsthand. It's like I do have a lot of respect for Coach Curran because he is doing more than just teaching us like a specific sport. He's teaching us like how to get strong. Yeah, right. And it's like this whole new routine, this whole new world, and he's telling us like, you know, how to adapt to it, about nutrition, about rest, recovery, getting stronger, like how to like optimize like different like muscle groups and stuff like that. So it's not just like when it says sports, it's like you're talking about like athletic community in general. It's just like all these things that you can do, and it's like the stuff that you wouldn't think about, because it's not like we're all just like outside like throwing footballs and catching footballs.
Right,
it's just
it's
like
much more
right. And thinking about this the other day, it's like it does play such a huge part in not only the sport but like your life too. I came to this school like the summer that I went from 8th grade to being a freshman. That's when we started doing like the football camp. And if you think about it, it's not going to stop until like senior year. It's the football camp, and then it's into the season, and then right after the season, it's the off-season lifts, and then you go into sophomore year, and then boom, you start out, you do the summer lifts, and then you do sophomore season, and then off-season lifts, and then you keep going until senior year. So it's like, not only are you like learning how to physically better yourself, but you're like growing with like a group of people collectively, which is not something that like you're probably taught like years prior and stuff.
That's a good point, right? You almost have like your own cohort that you're growing with, but I think that's helpful for really any sport, because a lot of the other sports we just see football firsthand.
Right.
But a lot of these other sports do the same thing, where they're maybe on travel teams, or the information, I was just thinking as you were talking, the information that's available to you guys is more than it's ever been. I think about the time when I was in high school, I didn't know what any of this stuff was. Lifting programs and nutrition and the stuff you're getting firsthand by a lot of the coaches, but you also have access to information wherever it might be is terrific, and you guys can really improve and hit your goals and set new goals and hit those goals and really just, make your way towards wherever you want to go.
No, yeah, definitely. And even with like, because you did say how kind of like we only see football from like a first-hand perspective, because like that's the sport that I play and it's a sport that you coach, but like there's obviously even other aspects of other sports coming into it, because you coach track as well. And I also remember even for football, you would always teach the guys about, I feel like something that stuck with me, you always say, some of my track guys will know this, some of my track guys will know this. We always did breathing exercises, hip exercises, like totally. Balance in football. And it's like stuff like that that's brought over from track into football. It's like you share everything.
Yep.
And like the knowledge, like the more you know, it's like knowledge is like a great tool, because it's like the more you know, the more you can use it in other aspects of just life.
What's amazing too is if you guys are picking that up, you can then teach the younger kids or the younger students and athletes. So that to me is like when we've done our job as coaches, is when you guys feel like you can coach. So we see that at the football camp. We see at the football camps. We see that as the junior seniors are coaching down. And, to me, that's an amazing part of organized athletics.
Yeah, I mean, especially, like, because you can kind of tell when there's people who, like, have learned stuff from you, and it's so awesome when they're passing it down, because I think a lot of kids in the football program, I'm sure basketball program, every program, kind of have, like, a mentor, like an upperclassman.
Yep.
For me, like, especially Connor McHale, I'm always asking him stuff about my position and, how to improve on stuff. And he always, it's a lot of like, I'm sure it's not a lot of pressure, but like, it shouldn't really be up to him, or it shouldn't really be his responsibility to be the one to tell me, but he does every time. And I think it's because he's been like led and like taken in information the right way. And then for him to like pass that down to like, me and everybody else, every other DB, every other receiver, it's just like, it is interesting, because it's like you're taking stuff that you were taught and now you're integrating it through other people, and then now they can grow in it, and it kind of came from like one person.
We'll have to have him on the podcast. We just missed that MIT commitment, so it would have been nice to break that on here. But I totally agree. I think that's a tribute to a guy like him. I think it's a tribute to the program, the culture, the type of caliber student athlete at this school overall. I'm continually impressed, like I said before, every single day, every single season. So,
yeah, I mean, talking about those commitments, you talk about Connor going to MIT for that, but he's also a great track athlete, and kind of now going into more of like the whole into sports, because we're talking about community and kind of all this this general stuff. But talking about, I mean, we could start with football, because of course the commitments. There's just the signing ceremony. What a talented group of like people, and like totally. Yeah, it's gonna be so cool to see how they go.
Yeah, I mean, nine student athletes going on to play at the next level, who are signing up and committing to not only give their sport, but they have a ton of time to put in there. I know firsthand. I played in college. I know firsthand how it is. You are starting such a huge step in your life. because now you're independent. Now you have time. Now you are continuing serious study into a specific. Oftentimes choosing what your specific direction is for some students as they start, which again you are getting really, really serious about a direction. So to me that's a huge commitment. They're going to have a blast. They're going to do great because they're all such hard workers. We saw that from the last season here at Fian. So to me, I mean really all those signing days are so proud. I think not only for the coaches but the entire school, really understanding and feeling that they've given a little bit to help those student athletes take that next step and be excited about that next step.
Yeah, I mean, talking about kind of like even for all these kids who like you say like they work hard, it's also like they had to constantly adapt to like new things that happen around them all the time.
Totally agree.
Yeah, like I think because you look at like even last year, you saw like a more pass-heavy offense, and now this year we had a more run-heavy offense. And then Connor, I think I asked him about this a little bit, kind of like more of a defensive focus this year because of course when we're going to like a run-heavy offense, then you didn't get the ball thrown as much, and it's just like all these people who are working so much because even last year as juniors, everything was different, and then they had to eventually step up to these like new positions and like kind of like see themselves as leaders this year, I would assume. And it's just so cool to see kind of like how they grow as people, and it's like to see them sign off and go to college for the next level. It's like it kind of like you said, it's big for the school. It makes everybody kind of like, well, these people worked hard in our little,
Totally.
Yeah,
I agree. It's you have to do so much. You mentioned growing as a person. You have to do so much, and you have to be really a well-rounded person, I think, to understand the commitment to not only your sport, your studies, your family, religion, all of that stuff. So it's very impressive. And the way you guys have to juggle things, I think I tell my class all the time, one of the big things that I try to get them to understand when they're in my class is time management, because I am one piece of their overall profile as a student, as an athlete, as a person that's committed to clubs, whatever it is. So that's what you guys, I think, are really learning is how does that work for you? Because, again, when you get to that next level, like we were just talking about, a lot of these football players, when they get to that next level, time management is going to be essential. It's going to rise to their priority. You're going to have to figure out how to do it, and it's all on their own. So, yeah,
I mean, time management is like it is so important, and because like even with like this whole thing, it's like I would have liked to get, we were talking about this earlier, like I wanted like to get out episodes earlier, but like once you're committed to something else, if you have like a good passion for it, and if your commitment for that is solid, then you do see how much of your life it takes up, and it's a sacrifice, but on the other hand, it's like you're putting all this time into something that you truly love. And it is going to take up a lot of time, but if it's like beneficial for you, then you're going to use that stuff. And all the people who signed, it's like all the 4 years they did here, kind of starting to learn how to integrate into like a lifting program or just like a family in general. Yep. It's not like, blood. It's just like you're getting your foot in the door for something greater in life. And now they're going on to that next level, and they're going to see what it's like. And hopefully they definitely got a good start, or like I keep using the term foot in the door, but that's what they got for college here. Yeah,
totally. And I think in regards to when we bring it back to like you were making commitments, like for this show, what the Certruth's going to be and all that stuff, I think that's another thing too, which was, kind of Joe's mantra and his focus was leaning into something that he was really interested in and wanted to push. And then, of course, you took the torch from him. So we'll see where it goes. It is going to be a commitment. It's going to take some planning. It's going to take some effort into it. But I think, again, there's going to be a lot of energy behind it, and I think positive reinforcement for it.
Yeah, I mean, going like far back to, I think Joe, the term pass the torch is great. And Joe kind of did give me like a start to the brand, but me and Joe don't do stuff the same, because like stuff
totally,
is
that's
like
the great part,
right? I think it's awesome, because you even look at like Joe, what he did last year, and it's not really an inconvenient thing, but he only maybe did 2 2 or 3 football like pregame interviews with like Matt Peck and Will Slavin and some other people like before the games, and then he did an episode with Rob Pombriant. But he did stuff like that before the games, and then that was kind of it. It just kind of like, the game is this time or whatever. And then, this year I was like, because I knew some of the guys at football, I was like, oh, maybe I can kind of start trying to do this a little more. So then it became not pregame, but it would be like me going on the field after a win and being like, oh, I know this guy. Hey, that was awesome. What did you think?
Yep.
And then it kind of just got into more like a really like up close. You could kind of see like what was going on. And I think that was
what people care about.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in like a documentary culture right now. Maybe we can hit on some of our top favorites of all time on another episode. But we're in such a documentary behind the scenes culture now that I think people are like fiending for that, right? They want it. So if you are a fan of Fian and you're a fan of Fian sports, that's something I'm sure you'd love to hear from the captains and the players on the team, see those players react live. Because again, just think about it. It's so cool that you have that access, and there's a lot of news channel probably that would like to do that too. And they don't necessarily have those access. They have to go more formal, where you are more scrappy and able to go out there and get those interviews and get that raw emotion. Like we saw a lot of raw emotion from the players as they were coming off the field, which to me was something that was really, really cool and set you apart, again, from those formal news stations.
Right. No, yeah, that's like, it's such a great summary of like the kind of the pull factor of this whole thing. It's like people get to see like, it's not like they get to meet these people, but it's like they are seeing like these people in like a sense that they haven't.
They do, right?
Yeah, they haven't seen them in like a sense like this before, and it's like it's fun for me to like bring that to them and kind of like show them like this is what he did. You should like know about this. This is like an accomplishment, and it's also, I'm sure I'm very appreciative of all the people who like enjoy it, and I'm sure the people who watch it are very appreciative, but also the athletes that I interviewed too. They're so nice to me to let me do, because after a game emotions are high or whatever, but even when they do win, I've been like greeted with nothing but generosity when I go up to these guys and they're like, oh yeah, I want an interview, or then they see
word's getting out, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, and then they see me in the hallway and they're like, oh, Certruth, that was awesome, and I was thanks, and then it's just like all that. Yeah. They're just like all the generosity they get from them. It kind of shows like, because when athletes have a very competitive mindset, and it's like when you're watching them on the field, you don't really get to see any other side of them than like, that strict win mindset or that wit or whatever that they bring to the field or the court or whatever. But then afterwards, you can kind of see how they react to these like kind of like situations. So it's a really great like form of media to bring to people.
And it's something. It's a vision into. It's an eye into sort of that, again, just like the raw moments, and especially of you guys communicating to each other. So you're able to communicate to your peers, which is a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
So what do we have for time? What do you think?
We're running at like 33 minutes right now. So just like wrapping
We
it
said
up.
we were going to start this like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, get it warmed up.
Oh, yeah.
But, there's a lot to talk about. I think for the future, too, I think there's going to be a lot of, you tell me, there's going to be a lot of topics to cover, hopefully some guests coming in, maybe more consistently doing this, and like you said, the production is just going to get better and better and better, and I think it'll be more organized, and we'll be able to run over stuff that hopefully people comment on and want us to bring to the show.
No, yeah, I'd absolutely love to. I want to bring in, because a lot of the sports I do are like team sports. I want to bring in like multiple people, and that's something that like I've been like.
Gonna have to get more chairs in here.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But that's kind of like what I'm saying. It's like I need more microphones to do that, and the better equipment. But in the future, I am hoping to get like groups of people on, because when I had Jans and SJ on, it was like a running back and one of his O-line member. It's like they went together.
Very cool. Yeah.
So I wanted to maybe have Nico and Connor, quarterback and receiver, or something like that.
Good idea.
Yeah, and it's just people who like there's the opportunity for guests is always like growing and growing, because it's like you see these people operate as teams. So I kind of want to interview not just a person, but like the dynamic that they have, and like kind of like put that onto paper a little bit.
Nice. And coaches and teachers? Any teachers you want to have on, or what? What do you think?
Ooh, maybe Mr. Winter. I think.
Get ready for the baseball season.
Oh yeah, I think Mr. Winter would be a pretty entertaining guest.
Yes, and, let's get it going before the season starts.
He does a little bit of basketball announcing too. So
True.
Mr. Winter, if you're watching this, which I doubt.
He will be. We'll send him the link.
Okay. Oh yeah. Hi, Mr. Winter. You should definitely check this out.
Come on, the Certruth.
Come on. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
Give us the Certruth.
Yeah, that's right. We'll get Mr. Winter on here if he'll come on. But yeah, that'd be awesome.
That's amazing.
That's a teacher I would want to have on. Coach King. Coach King would be great.
Maybe towards the March Madness.
Yeah.
I know that was fun last year. We did like a little bit of a bracket vision of what the bracket would be. He had some picks. Really knowledgeable, obviously, about hoops in general, but college hoops.
Yep. Yeah, and then just thinking of like other teachers, even like, I mean, everybody has like stories at this school. Even Mr.
Maybe stuff we don't want to hear.
Some crazy stuff. Like I had we did the health and fitness with Coach Lum, and we did like a class for a week of like teaching us CPR, and we got introduced to Mr. Keen.
Yeah.
He has some crazy stories. He tells us he's been shot at. Like,
sounds like we have to have him on here.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Amazing. What I think would be cool too is as this podcast morphs is not only do stuff in sports, but again highlight stuff of the community of Fian. Maybe there's a teacher that you want to learn a little bit more about. What's their background? What are their classes? Because again, if underclassmen are watching this, great way to promote their class and talk about what they're teaching and what they're passionate about and get to know them as a person, as a teacher. Well, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't. Maybe you guys don't.
No. I'm 100%. I mean, if I kind of like think about this now, taking a step back, like this whole like past 30 so minutes have kind of been about sports, but that is something that like I'm also very passionate about, because you'd be surprised how much entertainment and like story there are in just people. I'm not going to say average people, but people that are like in your life you don't expect. But yeah. I would love to have people on that just to kind of like to have something important to share, fun to share, and just kind of like
totally
talk to them, because that'll be so awesome. Even like, because I almost feel like sometimes it gets like even like nervous like asking people to come on the show, but even if people
they'll love it once they start to see it.
Even if people wanted to come on the show, I'd be so welcome to have them on if they have something to talk about, because again, it's not just for athletes, but the whole Certruth, I want to give people a platform.
Yeah,
so
I love it.
That's what I want to do.
It seems like we could that's probably a good thing to stop on right there. The platform of the Certruth. Anything to follow up? What's next?
Hopefully next, look out for the spring season, everyone. Lacrosse, I'm looking for something big. Hopefully everybody shows up to the games. Same thing with baseball. Shout out to everybody, all the athletes and the boys doing that, and the girls. But that should be it. Season's wrapping up, and Certruth on Instagram. If we're doing T-shirts now, so if you want a T-shirt,
nice.
Yeah, I mean
the swag is coming. It's official when there's merchandise.
Oh yeah, the merchandise is
that's
going.
Certruth.
Yeah, that's right. They're going quick. Small, medium, large, extra large, $20. So message me on the account. And
what's the Instagram handle so everyone knows?
That's the Certruth at Instagram.com. That's nice. The Certruth. So I think that's it. Coach Marty, thank you so much for coming on today.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah, that's right.